Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the kind of fortress-level cryptography that protects the world's most sensitive Wi-Fi networks. We're diving deep into the fascinating details of WPA3's 192-bit security mode.
So think about this. You'll probably trust your home Wi-Fi to keep your browsing safe, right? But what happens when the stakes are way, way higher? I mean, when we're talking about national security, huge financial systems, or top-secret industrial data, well, the level of protection has to be on a completely different planet.
And that's exactly where we leave the consumer-grade stuff behind and step into the world of WPA3 Enterprise. This is the standard that's built for those super high-stakes environments. Now, you gotta know, WPA3 comes in two main flavors. For you and me at home, there's WPA3 Personal. It uses this really smart handshake called SAE, which basically stops attackers from just guessing your password over and over. But for big companies and governments, there's WPA3 Enterprise, which is a whole other beast. Every single user has to be authenticated individually, usually with their own unique digital certificate. And even within that super secure enterprise standard, there's a kind of boss level, a fortress mode, if you will, designed for the most sensitive networks on the planet. And it's called 192-bit mode. But here's the thing, and this is what we're about to find out. That name, 192-bit mode, is actually really misleading. It's way, way stronger than it sounds.
So what is it really? Well, officially, it's an optional, super high security setting that basically forces a Wi-Fi network to use a very specific and very powerful set of cryptographic tools. It's like saying, nope, you can only use the absolute best of the best security.
And this quote right here, this gets to the heart of the whole thing. It's kind of funny, actually. If you dig into the technical documents for this mode, you won't find the number 19.2 anywhere. So what gives? What does it actually mean?
Okay, so here's the big reveal. The 19.2-bit part doesn't refer to a key size at all. It refers to the minimum security level of the entire system. And to hit that high bar, it makes the network use a whole suite of tools that are all much, much stronger. We're talking 256-bit encryption, 384-bit hashing, and a 384-bit elliptic curve for swapping keys. It's an absolute powerhouse of a combination.
And that last part, the key exchange, that is the real star of the show. It's all thanks to a truly revolutionary piece of tech that gives us incredible security with amazing efficiency. Let's talk about elliptic curve cryptography, or ECC. See, for decades, the gold standard for this kind of thing was a system called RSA. Its security was based on a simple but tough math problem. It's easy to multiply two gigantic prime numbers together, but it's practically impossible to take that result and work backwards to find the original two primes. ECC, on the other hand, is built on a totally different kind of math problem involving points on a curvy line. The end result is that you get the same level of bulletproof security, but with keys that are way smaller, faster, and just all around more efficient. The main idea behind it, just like with RSA, is what cryptographers call a one-way problem. It's super easy to do the math in one direction, but it's basically impossible to reverse it unless you have a secret piece of the puzzle. Okay, forget the complex math for a second. Let's use an analogy. Imagine a really weird dartboard. You have a known starting point on it, we'll call it point P. Then you secretly pick a number. Let's say it's 25. That's your secret key. You then throw the dart 25 times, but each throw follows a very specific complex rule. After 25 throws, you land on your final spot, point Q. And here is the magic. If you know the starting point P and your secret number of throws, it's super easy to calculate where you're going to land at point Q. But if someone else only knows where you started and where you ended up, points P and Q, it is practically impossible for them to figure out your secret number. They can't figure out how many throws it took. That puzzle is the entire basis of ECC security.
And this chart, wow, this just shows you what a complete game changer this is. To get that 192-bit security level we've been talking about, an old RSA key would need to be 7,680 bits long. That's huge. But with ECC, you get the exact same security with a key that's just 384 bits. That's 20 times smaller. This means way less data to send and way less battery power needed to do the math, which is a huge deal for all our devices. So how is this super powerful and efficient math actually used to lock down a connection? Well, it all happens in a process we call the handshake.
So, when your computer wants to talk to a secure server, they need to agree on a secret key to encrypt everything. The problem is, they have to agree on this secret over the open internet where someone could be listening in. So, they each generate a temporary secret key, use that ECC math to create a public key from it, and then they swap those public keys. And through the magic of that one-way math, they can both independently figure out the exact same shared secret, while the person listening in is left completely clueless.
Now, I just used a really important word there, ephemeral. It sounds fancy, but it just means temporary. These keys are created for one single session, and as soon as that session is over, poof, they're thrown away and never used again. This might sound like a small detail, but it is the secret to one of the most important security features we have today. And that feature is called perfect forward secrecy. And get this, it's not just about protecting your data right now. It's about protecting your data from the threats of the future. So perfect forward secrecy, or PFS, basically guarantees that if a hacker manages to steal a server's main long-term secret key someday in the future, they still can't go back in time and decrypt all of your old conversations that they might have recorded. Let's just look at how huge this difference is. Without forward secrecy, all your encrypted messages are tied to one master key. If a hacker steals that one key, your entire history is wide open. It's a total disaster. But with forward secrecy, since every single conversation uses a brand new, temporary key that gets thrown away, stealing the master key is basically useless for reading your old data. Each conversation is locked in its own separate unbreakable box.
So let's bring it all home. What are the big takeaways here? First, efficiency. ECC gives us top-tier security in a tiny, fast package. Second, strength. That 192-bit mode is a whole suite of the strongest tools out there, creating a true fortress for data. And finally, resilience. Thanks to perfect forward secrecy, a security breach today doesn't get to rewrite the history of yesterday. You know, all of this leads to a really fascinating question. The security we've talked about is based on math problems that are just too hard for today's computers. But as we look ahead to things like quantum computers, which could potentially solve these problems in a snap, what's the next frontier for our digital security going to look like?
If you enjoyed this deep dive into the cryptography that keeps our world turning, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more. We're always exploring the amazing tech that shapes our lives. Thanks so much for watching.